In its 11th year, this is GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Hey, everybody, live from Harlem in New York City. It's the Ramble with me, Alex Bennett. I love talking to Larry Bubbles Brown. Ask me why, Larry.
Why?
I haven't the faintest idea. Hey, Larry Bubbles Brown, how you doing, my friend?
Good.
Yeah.
I had a list of famous celebrities.
Yeah? What about?
We want to go through that again.
Oh, what, you mean I have to identify who they were?
Yeah, because these are entertainment personalities of the past, so none of them are still alive.
Oh, okay. So I have to then identify them and say who they were or what they did?
Yeah, because you know everything about showbiz.
Well, I don't know everything about showbiz, but I do know a bit. So let's see how much I really do know when Bubs starts asking me these questions. Okay, Bubs, go ahead.
There's so many names here I don't know. Robert Alda.
Robert Alda was the father of Alan Alda, and he was an actor.
Oh, really?
Yes, and yes, he was an actor. Yeah. So.
See, you knew it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know this one, Maury Amsterdam.
Oh, he was a comedian. He used to play and then he wound up on the Dick Van Dyke Show.
That's all I know him from. He played a writer on the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Yeah, but he was a comic, and his act was, how Benny played the violin? Mm-hmm. Well, he played the cello. It just didn't work like a violin as a prop, And he would sit there with his cello telling stories and jokes and things like that. But not a great comic, not my kind. Kind of the Borscht Belt, did you ever, have you ever, whatever, that kind of thing. So, all right.
Borscht Belt.
You find that funny, huh?
Yeah, like what? Borscht is, what is borscht?
It is basically it's Russian, and it's a beet soup.
It's a soup. I thought it was a soup. I was right. Okay.
My mother used to make it. And she would take the beets, and then she would squeeze them and get the juice out of them. I don't know if she added water or what she did, but then she would cook it, right? Then my mother, they don't do this sometimes with borscht, but my mother would strain out the beets so that all that was left was this red liquid. And then she would put it in the refrigerator and let it get really cold. And then she'd bring it out for dinner, and she would drop a hot potato in it and sour cream. And that was our soup for dinner. I loved borscht when I was a kid.
Really?
Because I love the way she made it, straining out the beets and so the beet itself. And, most people, a lot of women and a lot of people didn't strain out the beets. So you kind of have to strain them out yourself when you were using them. And sometimes it would serve the borscht hot. But really, it's really good when it's cold.
It sounds healthy.
And then that hot potato is thrown into the soup kind of contrasts the hot with the cold, and that was really nice. And then the sour cream kind of took the edge off the taste. It was wonderful. Okay. So we've named two celebrities.
Dead celebrities.
And
Irene Castle.
And one soup dish. Irene Castle, she was married to Vernon Castle, and they were a dance team.
Okay. Yeah, okay, his name's right under hers. You're right.
Yep,
okay.
Yep.
Jeff Chandler.
Jeff Chandler was from San Francisco.
Wow.
He was an actor who first appeared on a radio show called Our Miss Brooks with Eve Arden, the radio show.
They did radio. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And then, because of his acting on radio, he got a job with Universal Pictures, I believe it was. And he got a job as an actor. Initially playing like Cochise or something. They made him into an Indian. I think he was Jewish, too. I think Jeff Chandler was Jewish. And he played an Indian. You know what's interesting? Ever remember Iron Eyes Cody, this Indian? He was the one in the ads where they throw trash.
With a tear in the eye.
Trash by the side of the road, and he has a tear coming down his eye, Well, it turns out when he died that it was finally admitted that Iron Eyes Cody, who you thought was absolutely an Indian, you remember looking at him, he looked just like he should be, an Indian chief, right? Was Italian from Brooklyn. Who would have thought? Anyway, who do we got?
Boy, well, Jeff Chandler, he died at 42.
Oh yeah, he did die young. Now that you mention it, but he was from San Francisco.
Did not know that.
So I was always aware of him because he was from San Francisco.
Montgomery Clift.
Montgomery Clift was, of course, an actor. Gay, I believe, but closeted gay because you didn't say you were gay in those days when you were an actor. And he was kind of weird. He died young, too, if I'm not mistaken.
45.
45. His last picture was The Misfits with Marilyn Monroe and Clark Gable. And all three of them were dead within 3 years.
I think, that was all their last picture, wasn't it?
Well, I know it wasn't Cliff's last picture. Cliff's last picture was about us being a spy, and I'm trying to remember the name of the movie now. But he made one more movie before he died. But it was Gable's last film and Marilyn Monroe's last film. Written by her husband. What's his name?
The
famous playwright.
Why don't I know his name?
Well, now my mind's a blank. Now that you're putting pressure on me. Otherwise, I just blurt it right out. But anyway.
Okay, Ben Blue.
Ben Blue was I can visualize him. He was a comedian. He was in movies, and he usually was kind of like a secondary performer in films, and he was the comedy relief, But I can see his face, but I can't remember what he did that was special outside of the fact that he just, he was like the comic relief in films.
Okay, I've heard the name, but I don't think I've ever seen him.
So far, I'm batting 100. Go ahead.
Beulah Bondi.
Beulah Bondi. Oh, I love Beulah Bondi. Beulah Bondi was this. I don't know how old she was, but she looked old. So she appeared in a lot of films, especially when I was a kid. There were some Disney pictures. There was one Disney picture she was in that I loved called So Dear to My Heart with Burl Ives and Bobby Driscoll. God, how am I coming up with this today?
Yeah.
And Beulah Bondi was almost a grandmotherly sort.
Well, she was born in 1892, so how old was she when those movies
so she
were
was
out?
old by the time she made movies, right.
Okay.
Because I was, in a lot of cases, you take somebody like Margaret Hamilton, who played the Wicked Witch in The Wizard of Oz. She was only 29 when she played that role.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
She was not a good-looking woman, okay? but she could play a certain kind of part, and sometimes she was a little more benevolent in movies than she was in The Wizard of Oz. But I mean, she was 29 when she did that picture, and she looked like she was, well, who knows how old. But anyway, go ahead. Another name.
Let's see.
Eventually, I'm gonna bat out on this, but go ahead.
No, you won't. I know this name, Theda Bara.
Theda Bara. I just saw a picture of her yesterday. Saw some video on her. She was a silent film actress who was really many times referred to as a vamp. She played Cleopatra in her biggest film, which is no longer available because it got destroyed. It didn't get destroyed because they didn't like it. It got destroyed because there was a fire somewhere, and those things were on nitrate. And nitrate used to just burn like crazy. So if you've got a film in a nitrate fire, chances are it was going to be lost to the ages. In fact, something like 90% of all silent films disappeared. So, anyway, go ahead. Another one.
Pier Angeli?
I know Pier Angeli, pronounced Angeli. But she didn't have a really big career. I remember her appearing in a lot of films in I think the 50s. And then now that you mention her name, it's the first time I've heard it since then.
She died at 38. So.
Wow. Are these all people who died young? Is that what
these are entertaining? Well, no, just some of them are quite old, but including Major Bowes.
Well, Major Bowes started a thing called the Amateur Hour. And then later, when he died, it was taken over by Ted Mack. And you remember it as the Ted Mack Original Amateur Hour because it wound up on television. And it was maybe one of the worst shows in the history of television.
It was. One of the worst.
No, even as an amateur show, the amateurs were mediocre. I mean, what I loved was what Chuck Barris did with talent shows when he did the Gong Show. And I had come up with that same idea before he ever came up with it. Because there was a show here in New York on cable, on public access, in which a guy by the name of Richard Rothman, I can't remember names, but how come I remember these names? Richard Rothman used to bring people in to display their talent, but what he also was a talent agent. So what he would do is he would have these people come to him to be a talent agent. They would pay him to be a talent agent. When did you ever hear of that? And the reason is he said, I'll put you on TV. I'll guarantee it. And he had this show. It was an hour every week. And I used to love watching it because it was such subpar talent that some of it was absolutely hilarious. And I said, you know something? We got to start a talent show. And I was thinking of doing this on public access. We got to start a talent show in which everybody is terrible. And just horrible people who think they have talent, but they really don't. And before I could do it, here comes the Gong Show. Same format.
Well, nothing funnier than bad entertainment.
There really is nothing funnier than bad entertainment. But, Anyway, try me with another name.
Oh, here's an odd. Eva Bartok. Could be stumped.
I know the name, again, another actress who appeared in films, I think, in the 50s.
Well, she was born in 26, so that would be correct.
Yeah. And, she appeared in quite a few films, and then she disappeared. Like so many people do disappear. They have a career for a while, and then they don't anymore. So, big deal, But that was Eva Bartok. I know the name. I can't remember the face. Okay.
How about Phineas T. Barnum?
Well, that, of course, was Barnum and Bailey's Circus. It was originally Barnum's Circus. He actually had a building here in New York where you would go and pay money to see freaks and things like that. And eventually he took that on the road, and I think combined with a guy by the name of Bailey, and became the Barnum and Bailey Circus. Although I don't know, I'm trying to remember, did Barnum buy him out? Or did Bailey buy Barnum out? Could have been, because Barnum had a very big name, so his name was worth buying, you know. But anyway, Phineas T. Barnum was the guy who came up with, the smallest man in the world and the tallest man in the world. And he had an elephant called Jumbo, and it was supposedly the biggest elephant in the world. And this was what he did. His career was really as a sideshow guy,
Yeah. The circus never really had much appeal to me.
It's funny you should mention that. Neither did it for me either. When I was growing up, my parents would take you to the circus. And I would go, okay. Oh, yeah, those clowns are really funny. Yeah. What are they doing to that poor lion in that cage with the guy with the whip?
Yeah, the animals are treated horribly. And
yeah, the guy with the whip. I mean, they may not have been treated horribly, but, who knows? It depended on the guy who was yielding the whip. But, I mean, if you feed a lion, he ain't going to kill you. He's just hungry. That's all. The only reason he kills.
Yeah.
But I always thought I never liked it that much. And the only thing I liked is they used to, at the circus, when I was a kid, you won't believe this, folks, when I say it, neither will Bubbles. They used to sell little chameleons on a leash. It had a safety pin on the other end, and you could pin it to your shirt, and you'd have a chameleon on a leash on your shirt.
That's
and by
horrible.
the way, the chameleons would change color with their surroundings. So if you put them on a red shirt, the chameleon turned red. Yeah. Oh, that was wonderful. And they were only like 25 cents or something like that. And so my parents would always buy me one. And by the time we got home, the chameleon was dead.
Yeah.
So that's all. That's what I remember most from the circus. But I hated circuses. I didn't really like them.
Okay, so we agree on that then.
Yeah. Well, you're in the B's, aren't you, on your list?
Yeah, well, I can go to the A's.
No, keep going to the B's.
Okay. God, this is. I kind of remember Larry. He was.
Larry Bubbles Brown. Yeah, he used to be a comedian.
Larry Blyden.
Oh, Larry Blyden. He was an actor. Yeah, I can see his face. It's one of those kind of guys that I can't tell you all the films he did or whatever, but he didn't do a lot of them. And when he was, when his career was over, his career was over. I don't know, a lot of these guys probably went out and sold real estate when they were through with their career.
Well, he was murdered.
Well, was he really?
Yes.
Oh, why don't I know that? Who?
He was in he was out of the States. He rented a car. They thought it was a car wreck, but then they said it looked like he had actually been killed by somebody.
Oh, really? Huh.
He was 50 years old. 1975, he died.
Okay. Are these all B's who died young? Is that what this is?
Some of them are very old. This one died. He died within a week of Clark Gable. This is Ward Bond.
Ward Bond, of course, was a very big actor in John Ford films. And I believe I always used to use him as a trivia question. I think I'm right. And some people may write and say, hey, you're wrong about that. But Ward Bond, I always used to have a trivia question. What was the last word said in the Maltese Falcon? And you would probably...
Yeah, I remember when you told that. Yeah, it was like, huh, or something.
That's
like
it.
That.
That's it.
Really?
A lot of people will say, well, it's of, right? These are the things dreams are made of. I said, no, it's not the last word that's said in Maltese Falcon. Because the guy says these are the things that dreams are made of. And his partner, which I believe was played by Ward Bond, said, huh?
That's great.
So the last word in Maltese Falcon is, huh? Well, I'm not probably saying it right. I'm not saying it with the full actor's ability. It's saying, huh? Yeah, but anyway.
They probably had to do several takes on that, huh?
Give me more of a questionable, huh? Put a little more oomph into it, huh? Yeah. They were probably there all day shooting that last scene. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's say he died at 57. Wow.
Ward Bond died at 57. He looked older than that.
He did, didn't he? Because he was in that. I remember, wasn't he on a Western on TV?
He was on every Western.
Wagon Train or something like that.
He did Westerns like crazy. As I say, he worked for John Ford a lot. Like one of Ford's favorite actors.
Richard Boone.
Oh, Richard Boone. This is my Have Gun Will Travel, Paladin actor. Did a show before that called Medic. How do I remember these things?
Yeah, I never heard of Medic.
How do I remember these things? It was when they were starting to do medical dramas, and medical dramas were becoming very popular. There was a show called Ben Casey. Can't remember what other ones there were, but then they came out with Medic. This was like, I guess, the ultimate, right? And it was kind of like Dragnet. It had one name, and it was just everybody talked in normal tones. And Richard Boone was the star of that, and then he went on to do Paladin on Have Gun Will Travel. So
I remember that show.
Yeah.
And he was based in San Francisco.
Was he?
In the show, yeah.
In the show, okay. And you Have Gun Will Travel. You're right.
Have Gun Will Travel, San Francisco.
He had a business card that said Have Gun Will Travel, San Francisco. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Stephen Boyd.
Stephen Boyd was in Ben-Hur with Charlton Heston. He played Marcellus, I think was the name of the character. I can't remember. He was the guy who had the race with Ben-Hur and was killed in the race at the very end. He was the evil guy. He started whipping, Charlton Heston as they were going around in the horses and the chariots and so on. And he got killed at the end. And he did a lot. He had quite a few other films, but that's probably the one he's most noted for.
And died at 49.
Wow, these are all young guys. My God.
Well,
Go ahead.
The guy that lived a long time. Whit Bissell.
Whit Bissell. Oh, I love Whit Bissell.
Never heard of the name.
Again, he was never a star. Whit Bissell was always Whit Bissell. Okay. And Whit Bissell, if I showed you his face, you'd probably seen him a million times. He was like a million different pictures. And I think one time a friend of mine and I decided, nobody probably anywhere has a Whit Bissell fan club. I can't think of anybody starting a fan club for Whit Bissell. So we started a Whit Bissell fan club.
Whit Bissell.
And the joke was we were the Whit Bissell fan club. Then Whit Bissell died, and we were very depressed because we couldn't have the Whit Bissell fan club anymore. Okay, we got time for a couple more. Before I'm 100% today on these.
You're cooking, yeah. Well, it's. I want to see when Whit Bissell died. It was.
Was it young? Was he young?
1909 to 1996.
Oh, that's okay. He lives into what, 80s maybe?
87, yeah.
87.
How about Andy Clyde?
Andy Clyde, you mentioned him, and all of a sudden he comes up in my face. Andy Clyde was one of those bearded old cowboy actors who, always played the sidekick to somebody else, I don't know if he might have been a sidekick once for Hopalong Cassidy, as an example. But he was always a sidekick. And had the beard and talked like this, I can't do an impression, by the way, of Whit Bissell. I'm sorry. Anyway, so we have time for, I think, maybe one more. Yeah. We have time for one more. Here, make it good.
Okay.
You've yet to stump me today.
I gotta stump you. Jack Carson.
No, come on. Jack Carson was a staple in films.
He was? I
Yeah.
never heard of him.
Jack Carson, he was in a lot of films. If I showed you Jack Carson, you say, oh, him. Yeah. He was in tons of films. And I can't name a single one right now, but he was in tons of films.
Well, he died at 53, so.
Yeah, he was a pretty well-known, character actor. It would always be like Doris Day, blah, 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 and Jack Carson.
Oh, here's a good one. How about Godfrey Cambridge?
Oh, Godfrey Cambridge, black comedian.
Yeah,
I
do remember him.
Then became an actor. I can't remember the name of the big picture he did. But anyway, I know who he is. Well, I've done 100% today, huh?
You're unstumpable.
Well, it's just I'm too old is what the problem is here. It's a question.
It's great, not only you know them, but you know all the trivia about them.
Well, I'm happy that I could elucidate. Can we talk again next week?
We can.
Ladies and gentlemen, Larry Bubbles Brown. Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, Alex.
Bye.
Now, in its 11th year, this is GabNet. Talk like you've never heard it before.
Yeah, there he goes. It's Larry Bubbles Brown. Where he's our regular Friday person, I guess. I guess it's what it's become. Anyway, hello, everybody. How are you? Yes, Andy Clyde. Let's see. Oh, Jack Carson. When he mentioned Jack Carson, I should have mentioned he was in the original Star is Born with Janet Gaynor and Frederick March. And he played her agent, I believe. So that's where I remember him from. Andy Clyde, which was also mentioned, I forgot it. Andy Clyde, besides being like, he used to play like the bearded, rough-edged sidekick of what do you call it, Western movie stars. He also was in silent films, if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, and did quite a few silent films. And I can't remember one of them, but I do remember Andy Clyde. Because that was one of the guys who was in my wheelhouse at the time that I was growing up. Anyway, we're here. We're here because we're here, and there's some people that want to come talk to us. So why don't we just let them join us? Because we got Charlie Wallace here, and we got let me see here. We got Kevin, and we've got yeah, there you go, Charlie, and we got Josh, and we got Jeff. So we're off to a raging start here. Hello, everybody. How are you this evening?
Very good.
Very good. Okay. Yeah. Let me see here. I don't know whether we have we have some stuff to talk about. I mean, every day, it's like every day it's something that has to do with Trump. He can't spend a day by saying, I'm going to take off a vacation today and nobody can talk, I'll have nothing to talk about me for. And I don't understand why he insists on doing that. And more than that, I don't understand why we insist on keeping on talking about him. We should just ignore him for the next 4 years and say we don't have a president of the United States, okay? And when they say Donald, you say who? But no, that's not the case. Today, what's his name? This guy that was sent down to South America and put in South American prisons in El Salvador. I'm trying to remember his name now offhand. I just, I'm terrible with names. But let me just...
Abrego Garcia or something like that.
Yeah, Abrego Garcia. They decided to bring him back to the United States. But they couldn't just bring him back to the United States. They brought him back so they could then charge him with something. And what they're charging him with is human trafficking, in that he was smuggling people back into the United States.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah, that's you. We got you. We got you, okay, Kevin.
Hey, just checking.
Okay. I am too. Okay, check. Anyway, it was amazing, kind of, that they. Why did they do this whole thing with charging him with something? They couldn't just bring him back, say, "Hey, our bad, welcome back." No, we've got to say that you did something horrible, and we're going to charge you with it. But I don't think they have anything on him.
They supposedly have one on transporting illegal aliens to and from work or something oddball like that.
To and from work?
I guess so. He was hauling some people to work or something. I'm just trying to think of what I heard in the background one day.
Well, it just seemed like they couldn't just bring him back and say, "Our bad."
No.
You know.
Nope.
When was the last time you heard Trump say "my bad"?
God.
Except for Musk. Except for Musk. You know,
yeah.
That was his bad.
That was his bad. I don't really understand it, you know? I really don't understand it. Why you can't just bring somebody back and say, okay. But I think one of the reasons they're charging them with this is they're afraid the government's going to get sued.
Yeah.
You know, because, I mean, this guy could get a lot of money out of them.
He ought to sue him anyway. He ought to sue the government anyway.
I think he should countersue. While they're charging him with something, he should countersue them.
Yeah.
Or, you know. But, you know, who knows? Maybe he was smuggling people into the United States. I don't know. But all I know is...
Well, it wasn't the fact that he was smuggling them in. It was a matter of him transporting them to a field or something like that to do their work and then transporting them back home, which is aiding in the flight of an illegal immigrant, I guess. That's the route they're going, I think.
Yeah. But do you think
Not smuggling? That's coyotes.
Do you think they'll ever convict him on that?
Probably.
You think so?
Yeah, if they want to, they will.
Does that will apply to bus drivers that drove them from work?
Right.
Who is this?
Well, if you were paying attention, you would have understood who
I
this
wasn't
was.
on.
It's the guy that got the free trip down to El Salvador.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
With the hotel down there.
Garcia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, you know, it really is amazing what goes on here, and it's just constant, never ends, never ever ends. So what are we going to do about it? Let me see. I'm trying to find something here, but I can't find it. So I won't worry about it anyway. Oh, there it is. Okay. I just wanted to see what Drudge was reporting so I can get the name right. Russia is offering asylum to who?
Trump. Take him.
Huh? Russia offers political asylum to Elon Musk over feud. The world's last round.
He's offered to mediate between the two.
Who?
Zelensky from Ukraine.
It's gonna. Oh, really? He wants to?
To mediate between Trump and Musk.
Oh, that's interesting.
What's there to mediate?
Why bother?
Why bother? Yeah.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Why bother?
No, you know, yeah, they are doing a lot of that. We're going to do mediation. But Russia is saying to him that they offered him political asylum. He doesn't have to have political asylum. Isn't he an American citizen?
Yeah, but Steve Bannon still says we ought to deport him.
But you can't deport somebody who's a citizen.
They don't care about the Constitution.
No. Oh.
Wow. That's amazing.
Hey, it's going to get worse and worse. You know, ever since Trump took away his little write-off for his swastikars,
yeah,
he's going to get all bent out of shape, and then next it's going to be the contracts for space, and he's already getting bent out of shape about that.
Well, we gave him $3 billion last
year. The thing that bothers me about the whole thing is all his Doge people have been working for him, and they've got all this information, and they're still there.
Oh, the latest thing from the Supreme Court
They're
is
sucking information out of everything.
the latest thing from the Supreme Court is that Doge can collect data on American citizens through Social Security.
There you go.
Yep.
It makes that
And
absolutely flies in the face of everything.
And Musk ain't even there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all these little teenagers are got the little laptops, and they're out there sucking information.
Well, here's the thing. The United States paid him something like $3 billion last year. Bought services and so on from $3 billion. Pretty much, even as he's losing money like crazy, Elon can foot the $3 billion to keep SpaceX going, couldn't he?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, and I think the United States needs him more than he needs them. I mean, he's got all those Skylink satellites up there that the United States is using to spy on people and do a lot of other things.
Another reason we shouldn't have gotten into bed with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll just cut that short, you know.
Yeah.
Well, those astronauts on the space station, the only way they have to get back is Elon Musk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Plus, they're gonna do all the.
That's
They're
not
planning
true.
on running all the FAA changes for
They-
the towers through them, and he could just shut them all off because he don't want to deal with this anymore.
They do have a way to bring people home.
Oh yeah,
outside.
they can use if the Russians want to bring them back.
They have another way.
What's the other way?
They have a top secret transporter that can go to the space station and back. That was revealed in a leak of classified information a little over 10 years ago. That no one has ever seen in operation or in flight, but it's been reported to have made over 80 missions to space and back unbeknownst to the American public.
I've never heard about this. Have
Me
you,
either.
Charlie?
It's top secret.
New York Times a decade ago, I think 2014, 2015.
I never heard about that.
Why didn't they get those astronauts that had to stay up for an extra 8 months?
Yeah, why didn't they use it?
They do not want to use it unless it
It's-
is absolutely 100% necessary. It is
Well, what
true.
they could do is
No
they
top
could send
secret,
they
it's
could send it
remain
up.
top
They could
secret.
send it up there and ask us all to close our eyes while they do it. You
Yeah.
know,
Don't look.
don't look.
Don't look up.
Yeah.
They ought to get
It
rid
makes
of
sense
the
that they would have something like that so they don't strand anybody, but
Yeah.
they pull it out if they actually have to use it.
Well, they
Because
for the
every
long
time it comes out, there's going to be another something revealed about it.
well, for the longest time they were using the space shuttle.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, but that was all public and everything else.
yeah, but I mean they were using the space shuttle. Then he did away with the space shuttle, and they had to rely on Russia to bring back the astronauts and also to get them up there. And then here comes Musk with his rockets, and he can do it for them, and much cheaper than asking the Russians to do it. But
This is the
you
same
know,
thing,
huh?
but, this is the same thing, but I'm sure that it also carries the capability because of its small size and its easy launch capability, its ability to return and be reused. But I am sure that it also carries the capability to go alongside and work alongside small-sized, medium-sized, even large probably, space satellites and other equipment in space, which is pretty much what it was built for. It was built to locate and do damage to satellites and other equipment that foreign nations use in space in the event of the breakout of a war.
I
which is-
never heard of
was
this.
the most top secret
I
program.
follow this kind of stuff, and I never heard of this.
Why don't they just reactivate the space shuttles and send one up and pick up these?
Because they don't work anymore. They're rusty. They're old.
Yep.
They've had it.
Yeah, well, they do that with ships and then they fix
No,
them up.
it's not that easy. You know.
No,
I know it's not. that.
the top secret shuttle program is operated or built by NASA, but is owned and operated by the Department of Defense. And
Well, if they've got
Bad
it
as it
and
is,
it's 10 years,
people-
if they've got it and it's 10 years old, they're probably pretty old technology.
they're keeping it up. They have I'm telling you, they have an entirely top secret space program that no one,
Yep.
that we don't have any idea. That's only the little,
Well,
we
if
know
it's
that
so
much,
secret, how
how
come
much
you, how
do we
come you,
not know?
if it's so secret, how come you know about it?
Because it was an article 10 years ago in the New York Times.
Well, how did they get
President
the
Obama
information if it
lost
was
his
so
mind
secret?
about the leak and wanted the person prosecuted, which
Really?
they should have been.
That sounds familiar. Yeah.
I mean, I'll look it up for you here in a minute if you want. But,
Yeah, I'd love to see it because I've never heard of it.
I took a tour a few years ago at Kennedy Space Center where they said that building over there with that big gate and all those guys with the guns, literally our tour bus driver was, a little bit of comedy, is where they keep the top secret space shuttle that we have that we actually don't have. And I'm not allowed to tell you that we have, but if you were to go read the New York Times from April 16, 2014, you would know that we have. And if we had one, which we don't, it would be in that building over there. I mean, they have the DoD has a wing at Cape Canaveral now.
They're pretty lousy at keeping secrets, aren't they?
Well,
Yeah.
they now know that we have it, but no one knows its true capability. They don't have the blueprints for it.
Is that the
that's why they don't roll it out
X-37B?
on CNN and send it up.
Wait, what are you
That's
saying, Kevin? You're looking it up, Kevin?
X-37B
Yes.
Yeah,
is an orbital test vehicle.
yeah.
And as of May 12th, secret plane returns after more than a year in orbit.
Mm-hmm.
When did it return?
Well, this was on May 12th, 25 was when this was written.
Right.
So
They just
really?
sent it up recently again.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I still
Because they had
Hmm?
they had a vehicle out here when I was working for Air Products and delivering helium over to Moffett Field. They were building a jet-like vehicle over there that we were supplying helium for because that's how they do all the testing with it. And it was one of those deals where I was able to back the truck up to the building and pull the hose into the building and look straight ahead, turn around, go back outside, and do not repeat anything. And here's an NDA for you to sign, all that bullshit.
Wow.
But this vehicle was supposed to be able to go up and edge space
Yeah.
and then fly around up there and then come back down, just like a jet.
Yeah.
But it could go into space.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know whatever happened to that particular vehicle. I can't remember the name of it. But they were
This
building
is
it in
not
Moffett.
the SR-71
No,
Blackbird.
no.
No, that went
No,
up.
this went up higher than that. It went higher than any other vehicle.
They have several. I mean,
They got shit going on.
there has been a top secret space program since the decommission of the space shuttle program.
Yeah.
When this leak came out in the New York Times 10 years ago and the DoD was asked if there were people stuck on the space station and the space station was on fire, could it go to the space station and retrieve the astronauts in short order? And their answer simply was yes. And it could be done in a matter of hours because it doesn't go up on the same rocket style that the shuttle did, where it takes 3 days to take it out to the pad and all that. They haven't even said, as far as I remember, if they launch it from a rocket or if they launch it from a plane that's already at high altitude.
What is it? It's like a space shuttle, you're saying,
It's
Kevin?
like I said, it's like a jet.
Right.
They can fly it right off the ground and then get it up to a certain atmosphere, gets to the edge of the space, and Charlie could probably explain this better, and then just jump up into the, space.
I never heard
This
of
one
this.
was out for a year, and it landed let's see, U.S. Space Force's robotic space plane X-37B returned to Earth after spending more than 434 days in orbit on a classified mission.
Wow.
Which would be to look for, identify, watch, and possibly tamper with the communication satellites
Correct.
of hostile foreign nations.
Yeah.
Always. Make sure everything's in place.
Correct.
Well,
And watch our satellites to make sure that no one else is doing the same thing.
Right.
I still think they need Musk. I think they need him for the spies. The satellites he's got up there.
Yeah.
They've been using those. It's been servicing Ukraine, as a matter of fact. And
In a manner of breaking it down, then, if you were confident about that, you couldn't argue to me that they needed Musk personally. You could argue that they needed his equipment or his
Thank you.
company.
Well, they needed his technology. They need
But
his company.
If he were not in the equation,
Yeah, well,
I don't think that changes.
my question is, I mean, he I think his actually one of his things he said he wasn't going to supply them with something. I can't remember what it was today. You know that if they want to play that game, he'll play. He'd be happy to play it with them.
Well,
he said he wasn't going to take any more astronauts up to the space station.
And that's the satellite system that they're going to use to refurbish the FAA communication system that they're talking about for the next 4 years is deeply involved with SpaceX.
Yeah.
So if he says no, we don't get our towers updated. And I know
I mean, he
those
may
things
go
are
ahead
old.
with his own space program and finally get that mega rocket up there. You know. And as soon as he does that, he can go to the moon on his own, do what he wants to do.
Send Trump as a trial
What he
monkey.
ought to do is just sell the company to the United States and then get the hell out. Go sell his swastika.
Well, then I think they'll screw it up, to tell you the truth. You know, I think that company needs to stay
no,
private.
not if they leave all the people that are in charge, the engineers and everything else. They're the ones doing all the work.
Yeah.
Musk is just providing all the money.
Well, Musk has hired the right people. Okay, and he's going after the concepts he thinks works.
But you know damn well he didn't hire every one of them.
He's
put
getting
people in charge to hire.
getting a little too enamored of the idea of going to Mars. I think we should go to the moon first before we try Mars. You know, I mean, the moon is an easy one, and that's an easy one to test the big mega rocket with. And that mega rocket is blown up several times, but eventually there'll be one that will go up and be just fine, and from then on he'll have that one working. You know. And if the United States doesn't want to be in business with him, hey, you know, he'll go to the moon and land people there and take the moon in his name. You know, so I mean, it's
Another reason we shouldn't have gotten in bed with him.
well, we haven't gotten into bed with him. He came up with
We're in his pants.
no, but we aren't in bed with him in that. We didn't create a situation where we were in bed with him. He had the rockets. He was making them work. We wanted into that technology, and we paid for it, you know. But, I mean, he was doing it on his own. But as soon as he proved that there was a whole thing going, correct me if I'm wrong, Charlie, where there was a race to get the first rocket to go up for a certain amount of days or something like that.
Yeah.
And if it came back, whoever did it, whether it was Boeing, whether it was, that douchebag over at Amazon, any of them came up with it, and they were all rushing to do it. The first one to get it would get like the $3 billion contract. Wasn't that the deal, Charlie? Yeah.
Even if
Something
it was
like
Korea.
Well, I mean, we're not the only ones up there. You know, Japan has its own space station, much more modern than the one we have, and they've been up for a couple of years now, and nobody talks about them.
India
Still, to
sent
me,
a
it's still
rocket to the
dangerous.
moon.
Yeah, India's recent rocket landed the other day and crashed.
Yeah.
Am I right about that? It was an Indian rocket that crashed?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, there was
remember.
one that in the last couple of days crashed down the moon, and I believe it was the Indian
Oh,
rocket.
the on the moon. Yeah, that was the Indian rocket. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was
But
supposed
they
to.
got there.
Yeah, but it landed, but it was a hard landing.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It crashed, you know. But a lot of people are working on this. So we don't want to be in I think that we have made Musk maybe too much of a expert on this subject when we really should be talking to his crew that works that company.
Yep.
You know, I mean, it's not like it's kind of like in the old days with Edison. Edison used to claim he invented this and he invented that, and he didn't invent anything. He had people who worked with him, and they developed it together. And the guy who helped him create the electric bulb got virtually no credit for it and no money for it. I mean, Edison was an asshole.
He certainly was. He was going to wire the country with direct current.
Well, he used direct current because he felt that was the best electricity. He didn't think that anybody would start using alternate current, but along comes Tesla, the guy Tesla, and he came up with alternating current, and they started doing that. And the difference between DC and DC wasn't as lethal, okay, as AC, but AC could go further. In other words, you had to have, for DC, you had to have a station, electrical station. How many? A couple of miles. Every couple of miles.
Yeah.
Where with AC, it could be hundreds of miles or something. Yeah. And so he and Edison were fighting to get people to go to one thing or another. And you ever see that video of an elephant being electrocuted?
Yes.
You know why that was done?
To prove that AC was dangerous.
Yeah, prove that AC was dangerous. And the invention of the electric chair was invented to prove that AC was dangerous. And in fact, Edison built the first electric chair, believe it or not. He's not credited with it.
The funny thing is the electric chair in this country works off of DC.
No, I think it works off AC, if I'm not mistaken. AC is deadly. DC isn't. Am I right, Charlie? Yeah, I go to Charlie because Charlie's the scientific one.
Yeah. Well, AC is much more deadly, yes. But I don't think you can say DC is safe.
Right.
You could get killed with DC, too.
Yeah. But anyway, he had that big fight with Tesla. And ultimately, Edison lost that little brouhaha.
As a matter of fact, the World's Fair that Edison was going to light went to Tesla, and they had his light bulbs, Edison's light bulbs, and he wouldn't give up the patent so they could use them. So Nikola Tesla developed his own light bulb and used that for alternating current. And they lit it up. They lit up those. One of the presidents flipped the switch. And turned on the fair with it, and it was all alternating current.
Well, it's interesting how we got into a scientific discussion tonight.
Nikola Tesla was a very smart guy.
It's pronounced Nikola.
Though. He died poor.
Died very poor. Yep. Another guy that died poor I was looking at a documentary about him yesterday. It was the guy who invented television.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't Sarnoff. Sarnoff kept suing this guy. What was his name? He was out of San Francisco. Worked out of San Francisco.
Really?
And his name was. Hold on.
Bennett.
No. Let me see here. Echo. Who invented television? Philo T. Farnsworth.
Yeah, Farnsworth.
And when you ask, okay, I'm fine, thank you. When I just put this in there, the first name that came up was Philo T. Farnsworth, not Sarnoff. Sarnoff, once he saw that Philo T. Farnsworth had patents and so on for TV, he started taking him into court and just making him go broke, and spent years and ultimately tried to get the patent for television. And he got it for a while, but then the courts changed it back to Farnsworth. But by the time Farnsworth, it was all settled, and Farnsworth was the creator of television, his patent had run out. So he never saw anything.
Who was the biggest producer of televisions in the early days?
It was RCA.
Yes.
It was RCA, yeah.
Yep, certainly was.
And Philco was with Farnsworth, was working on TV with Farnsworth. And what happened with Sarnoff and RCA is they held the patents for what went into radios and into television sets. And so if you wanted to make a television set in this country, you had to buy the patent rights, the rights to do so. In the case of Sarnoff, he told Philco, if you go in with Philo T. Farnsworth, don't ever expect us to let you buy one of our patents again. And they immediately dropped Farnsworth and went with Sarnoff.
I haven't heard Philco's name in a long time. They used to make kitchen appliances too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were basically in the electronics business, if I'm not mistaken.
The way they ended up, they I guess in the 40s or the 50s, they were almost broke, and so Ford bought them. So you used to see Philco Ford.
Yeah, I remember that
Ford
kind of.
Philco,
Yeah. Oh, here's a couple of names. How about Zenith? Whatever happened to Zenith?
Yeah.
Zenith with the works in a drawer. You can pull the thing out and adjust things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. Hello to, I want to say hello to Richard Braun, who looks like you were eating earlier. Or did you make your own dinner tonight because your wife is still gone?
Yeah, I made my own dinner. That was the dessert.
When's she coming back?
Monday.
Monday, and where did she go?
Tennessee.
What? You go on a vacation together. As soon as you come home, she leaves?
She's got a church group.
Oh, a church group.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. What kind of church group? I guess people who pray, but what kind of church group?
Ministers.
Ministers. Is she a minister?
Yeah, they all are.
What do you mean they all? Wait a minute. Explain this to me. What do you mean they all are?
Jehovah's Witnesses.
Okay.
Oh.
So you're not going to come to my doorstep trying to sell me a magazine, are you?
They don't sell magazines anymore.
They don't? Oh, okay.
They don't sell them. They give them away.
Yeah. What did the Jehovah's Witnesses witness?
They stand as a witness for Jesus's and Jehovah's redemption.
Oh, you're a really good salesman for them.
Yeah.
Well, when they would come to the door, rather that or the other, the Mormons or whatever, and they would knock on your door and try and sell you on their religion. If I told them I was Jewish, which I am, if I told them I was Jewish, they said, "Oh, okay, have a good day. You've already been saved."
Really?
Wow.
Said
I'm
that.
like, okay, good.
Wait, does that ring true, Richard?
That's not for JWs.
Huh? Oh,
No, they would talk. They would still.
Must be the Mormons then. I don't remember.
Oh, the Mormons. Yeah, the Mormons believe that the Jews are the chosen people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a black roommate that was actually a Jehovah's Witness.
However, when I was a kid, I wanted to join the Boy Scouts, and the closest Boy Scout troop was a Mormon Boy Scout troop,
Wow.
and because I was Jewish, they wouldn't let me join.
I
I don't know why we were the chosen people. What I wasn't chosen to be was a Boy Scout.
A Boy Scout.
Yeah. But but I used to have my friend Chuck Farnham. What he would do when he would see a bunch of people trying to sell Bibles door to door, he just opened the door naked.
I'd scare him away.
I had this former roommate that he was a black guy, he was dating these beautiful women and everything. And he said, "You guys, I asked you not to come anymore. You keep coming. I do think you guys are both very sexy, and I guess I didn't tell you last time I'm gay. So if you guys want to come on in," that was the last time we ever saw them.
Really?
He moved out about a year later, moved in and got married with some girl and stuff.
Wow.
I thought, boy, that was easy.
Now you're located where, Richard? You're in
Virginia,
Virginia. Okay.
outside of Richmond.
Oh, okay. And so as soon as you got home, she took off, or
No, we had a couple of days.
you had a couple of days before you took off?
He said,
Okay.
pre-cook me some meals while you're gone, so I can.
Yeah.
She, she set me up well, and I have more meals than I'm gonna have than I have days left. So
Oh, okay.
You know what Marjorie made me tonight? Well, she didn't make it. She doesn't cook anymore. She cooks, but she doesn't make anything anymore. But she orders out every now and then for these lobster pot pies.
Oh, that sounds great.
Oh man, they're killer. They are just killer. You know,
Wow.
wish I could remember the name of the company she gets them from.
Well, do they deliver them like frozen or something?
Yeah, they come frozen.
Oh man, get the name. I'd love to find that.
Yeah,
I
I'm
wonder if
trying to remember the
shipped
name.
to
It's
California.
I'll get the name from her next time and
Thank you.
write it
Thank you.
down.
I'd
So I
love
have
to
it
order
for you.
something like that.
But they're really good. I was very happy with them.
Never even thought about it.
Yeah.
Sounds
But anyway, so today, I mean, you had this thing with Brago. What's his name? Brago
Garcia.
Garcia. You had this thing today with the Supreme Court saying it's okay for the Doge people to use our what do you call it? Our Social Security to spy on us, and get information on us. I mean, what's happened? What's happening to the Supreme Court, Josh? I know that you have always been an expert on that, but are these guys going a little too far? In your opinion?
I don't know on that one. I didn't read or hear anything about that one yet. I mean, I don't know what they're determined. I don't know if it was just a stay or if it was a final deal or what their main point was. If it was a unanimous deal, if it was split. I don't. I didn't look at it, to be honest with you today.
Yeah.
I don't know what came of all that. I checked in very, very, very little today outside of stuff I was watching and the work I was doing. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
not much help on that one.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it was one of those days today where every time I tuned into MSNBC, they were talking about something Trumpy. You know. They're gonna get the Republicans reelected again. That goddamn network.
probably.
You know.
Yep.
Yeah, they're
It's
probably not going about it the right way.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. But anyway, so yeah. Otherwise, we've just been sitting around watching a lot of TV and things like that. So we haven't been doing much of anything else. I wanted to get her to go to a movie theater with me because I want to see this new Wes Anderson film. And she's been saying, "I want to see that picture. I want to see it." I said, "Well, then let's go." Well, I don't know. I'm too tired. So that was it for that today. But I wanted us to do something. Anyway, where's my soda?
No,
it's
it's gonna.
I gotta find it. Is it here? Probably in the other room.
The
Why don't you guys talk to each other a second? Let me go run off to get my soda. Josh,
amongst
you take the
ourselves.
helm.
Good idea.
Oh, what a cute dog.
Yeah. That's what he looked great when he was 2 to 3 pounds, and we thought he'd maybe be 10 or 12. No, he's 55 pounds.
Wow.
What type of dog is it?
He's part beagle and part boxer.
Oh,
Wow. Big dog.
yeah. I had a boxer.
Good
Yeah.
watchdog.
Yeah. Yeah. Beagles they use for bomb sniffing in police departments and DOD in the military.
Wow.
I was in Portland, Oregon 15 years ago, and the bomb squad was 20 years ago, whatever it was, sniffing a high-end hotel across the street from my hotel. And I said, what's with the beagle? And he says, it's a bomb sniffing dog. And on the back of the guy's shirt, it says, if you see the dog running, try and keep up. On the back of the police officer bomb squad shirt. But anyhow, I said, who's coming to town? Oh, some asshole that's running for vice president. He was talking about, what's the guy that was vice president under George W. Bush?
Well,
Vice president of
Cheney was vice
Right?
president.
Cheney was coming to town, and they wanted to make sure there were no bombs there. And I said to them, "Did you?" He says, "Well, I actually put cotton swabs in the dog's nose so the Secret Service wouldn't know, and that way the dog wouldn't be able to smell if there was a bomb or not. We don't like him. I guess Portland, Oregon is a Democrat stronghold.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's funny. Cotton in the dog's nose. I didn't see it, but it just.
Well, you know, your hatred for these people isn't going to solve any problems.
Yeah.
It was the hotel name was the Benson. I was staying at.
What? I can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. The hotel name was the Benson, and it's still there in downtown Portland, Oregon.
Uh-huh.
I own property up there, and so I go up there about every 5 years. I used to stay at the hotel across the street because it was a couple $100 a night cheaper, but it's gone downhill, and so I stay at the Benson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know, you get really nice 5-diamond rooms for about $400 a night.
Yeah. Now, the other day, I want to talk to Richard here because Richard has been trying to get a hold of me to explain explain crypto, which I'm sorry, I don't thoroughly understand. So would you give us a primer on it?
You guys were talking about it the other night, and it's based on nothing. I mean, when you think about, why we have money, it's just so we don't have to barter. We're trying to have a stable, stable thing. And
in other words, it's not, I'm going to give you 2 chickens for one of your whatever.
Work that out.
Yeah.
But so we just need an intermediary thing to, which we have confidence in, to use that way. So we don't need all these other crypto things. They could do that to the dollar if they wanted to, but they don't. They don't do it probably.
Well, they don't do what though? Is what I don't get.
They don't make. They don't. They haven't digitized the U.S. dollar. There are some stablecoin currencies which are pegged to the dollar, but what kind of nonsense is that? You might as well have the dollar.
Well, we don't have it. It's not. It's not.
The Fed could issue crypto type U.S. dollars if they wanted to.
Well, we used to use gold and we use silver to back the dollars, but we don't do that anymore.
Right.
So really, what we have is kind of phony money, don't we?
Yeah.
Yes, we do. But the world over, they would like to denominate a lot, the major portion of their international trade in dollars because they know what they're going to get.
But in the case of crypto, there's no way of regulating it, tracking it down, finding out who has it, who's using it. It's actually the denomination. There are ways of regulating it, and the people that are running it don't want that, and they keep running scams until they run out of money, and
sounds like a pyramid scheme.
It is. It basically is, because they market it to you, oh, this is going to be the next dollar, and when all the demand comes for these cryptos, well, your money is going to blow up. So they're selling it to you now as like get rich quick.
Yeah, but see, here's what I don't understand.
Because it's going to be a stable coin.
But here's what I don't get, and nobody can explain to me, okay? So I go out and I buy some crypto, however you buy it, I don't know. I guess I can go to my local bank and buy it, can't I, these days?
Maybe not. They don't want to be too much involved. Banks are not comfortable with the regulation and the lack of regulation.
Lack of regulation, it's not guaranteed.
That's another story.
All right. But wherever I'm going to go and I want to buy some crypto, right? How do I buy that? Where do I buy that?
Call Superman.
You've got to get a broker in the currency. You have to have a wallet, and that's a whole airy fairy.
So you have to have a wallet. And then you put your money,
which is like a bank.
If I want to take a couple of $100, Well, let's say I want to take a couple $100. Okay. And I want it. Turn your mic off there, Bree. It's, yeah. So, in other words, I just don't understand about how I get crypto. And then let's say I want to go to the grocery store and I want to buy some donuts.
Can't do it with crypto.
I can't do it with crypto. Well, then what good is crypto for crying out loud? I want my fucking donuts.
Be lucky if it's worth donuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any crypto, Bree? You do
You
have.
look like the type that would have it.
Yeah, you look like the guy who would have it. Yeah.
Can you explain it?
How did you buy it? Where's your crypto? Where's it hanging out? Is it in a bank somewhere? Oh, you're going to show me on your iPhone.
On the computer, yeah.
Oh, there we go. It's Robinhood. Okay. Yeah, okay. Now what? Oh, and there's all your crypto? Uh-huh. Are those all the cryptos you own?
He can.
Okay, now let's say you want to cash that. How do you cash it? Official Trump.
They just
That lost a lot of money, didn't it?
They sell it on the crypto market.
Oh, wow.
And they give him his dollars back, or they give him Melania dollars.
Oh,
Yeah, I can just trade a number of them, and I can buy and sell them any day. Right now, I'm up $459 on Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, I don't understand any of it. It's still not making any sense to me at all.
Like an Apple wallet on your iPhone.
And it's almost as though the one guy here who does have crypto can't explain it.
Yeah.
You know. So how much personally, and you can turn your mic on to give me the answer, personally, how much money do you have in crypto?
Like maybe $1,000.
Only $1,000.
Yeah.
So that's not even one crypt, is it? I mean,
No. Maybe two grand. One or two. No, just to for fun.
so you don't have a lot of faith in it, is what you're saying.
No, but I want to be there in case it goes up 100,000 times or whatever. You know.
Yeah, but
because it used to.
You don't think that's going to happen, do you?
Some of them might. You don't know. XRP and Avalanche now, I think, are the two that they're saying could break out.
Oh boy. And then you got that other crook, Donald Trump, selling crypto. Did you buy it? Did you buy him?
Yeah.
You did buy him. Why?
I did.
Why?
Again, it's a novelty thing, and I think I had $10, not even.
Why don't you just send me all your money and let me flush it down the toilet? Okay.
Yes.
But the other thing,
And I guarantee you, if you get a return, I'll let you know.
Yeah. Well, I recommend if you're going in and out of the U.S., you should have Trump coin. You can show that to the immigration; they'll let you through.
Oh boy. Yeah. I really don't. How many here truly understand crypto? Anybody here beside Mr. Crypto in Malaysia?
There's one guy. I don't know if you read about this, but he lost his hard drive, and he's been looking for it for 12 years. He claims it has $724 million in Bitcoin on it. So my question is, well, what happens? He can't find his hard drive. So that means 724 million is just lost. It's just
Gone.
Yep.
I mean, it's on his hard drive, but he can't find his hard drive. So therefore, he's lost, what, $714 million?
Yeah, he doesn't have the key to get in.
Oh my God. And then you get kidnapped by guys who hold you for ransom and try to get your password. Yeah. Yeah.
And this is from a security of an $89 hard drive.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't keep all my stuff on a hard drive. I might keep it on something completely digital.
Well, you do. Your money that's in the bank is on a hard drive or in the cloud, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it.
Well, my money is in the bank. That's where it is. And
Right, but they don't have, like, if you have $100,000, they don't have a stack of $100 bills there and it says Alex Bennett on it. It's
No,
all.
I believe that guy had a thumb drive that he lost it. It was
Oh,
on
yeah.
a thumb drive.
Yeah.
And he deserves it to lose something small like that.
Right.
Well, couldn't you make a copy of that thumb drive and have it work also, so that you have a
Yeah, but
save
you
on
only
it?
got one, then you lost it. You can't make a copy.
Oh, you can't make a
Where do you
copy.
lose it at,
No.
Kevin? You and I can go look for it.
You can make copies of it, yeah, but if you didn't make a copy and you only got one, then it's a goner.
Well, that was a mistake, wasn't it?
Pretty much.
Well, this is all insane. I don't, maybe am I an old fart? Is that what it is, Bree? Just nod your head. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I usually would go for something scientific, and digital, but this doesn't make any sense. I mean, say I want to buy, I don't know, I want to buy $100 worth of pot. Now, how do I buy that using Bitcoin?
Correct.
Do I somehow shift $100 of Bitcoin over to somebody else's wallet if they have Bitcoin?
That's how it works.
Might not.
Quite honestly, who
Huh?
cares?
Who cares? Yeah. What is that?
Those are all the zeros after the money that he owns in Bitcoin.
Yeah, but I don't know. How much money is that in Bitcoin? How much money is that in my money? Crypto. Oh, boy.
Your position.
is it
bent
get-
over.
Huh? Oh, your
Yeah,
position.
really.
Yeah,
Bent over.
bend over. Yeah. Oh,
So I have 1,000 in Bitcoin, and then I have 1,000 in various other ones. So, and total, I originally I started with $500. Now I have 1,000, so I made about $500.
really?
Yes. And
And can it be
that-
traced if you sell it and then they
I
tax
can
you?
send, you said, how can I send it? Alex, right there, Alex.
Right. Okay, that's send. But now, if you want to send me what? How is it 1 Bitcoin? Let's say. What?
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to send you one. That would be 104,000 US dollars. So,
So what do
doesn't
I get?
like
I
you
get a
that much.
sliver of a Bitcoin. Is that
Yep.
what I get?
yes, that's it.
And could you then send it to me
Yeah.
using a computer, just my computer here, without me having to be hooked up to crypto?
You have to have an account.
I
you
have to have an account, so the money is then in my account, but then I can't remove it from my account and put bills in my pocket to go down the street and buy chewing gum.
Sure, you could convert it, just as I could convert it.
I'm getting a headache.
Why don't you get a book on Bitcoin, Alex?
You know something? I wouldn't understand that either. If Richard can't explain it and Bree's having a hard time explaining it, then how is a book going to tell it to me?
It's in English.
I mean,
Waste your time.
I mean, I don't really understand it either. Oh, that looks so good. I had a big platter of sushi.
Okay, now wait a minute. We'll hold just hold the camera back on the whole plate. Oh, the whole tray. Okay, let's look. What do we have there? We have some soup. We have some soup. That's a soup.
Tempura.
Tempura, right?
And then we have sushi. Is that sushi? Yeah.
Lettuce.
Yeah. And then you have a couple of slivers of watermelon.
$5, right?
Okay. I'm saying $4.50. How close am I, Bree?
20
Well,
ringgit.
I'm gonna look it up.
What?
I have to look up the conversion, but it's always around $5. But if you want the exact, then I gotta look it up.
Boy, it's pretty cheap to eat there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Kidding.
And it looks like it's a
23 today.
it looks like a nice restaurant. Doesn't look like a, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks very nice. It looks fairly, you know. If I went to a place like that here in Manhattan that looked like that, I would wind up walking out having spent $20 for lunch. So that's how it changes. Well, anyway, so anybody else want to bring up anything in the news that you saw that, you know? Well, that's fine. We got 3 minutes left.
That's $6.
What?
It's $6.
$6?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then you were closer than I was, Alice. But anyway, you know.
It looked like the same dish the other day that he ate.
Yeah.
That we
Yeah,
talked
it's similar.
about. I guessed 7 and you guessed 5, and 5 was correct. So that's why I said 5.
Yeah. But
I
anyway.
guess the exchange rates are different. I might not have put in the exact rate. I gotta look it up.
Yeah.
It's still a lot cheaper. I got probably a little more sushi than you got, fish wise, and I paid $40 for lunch today.
There you go.
Oh, man.
Every place is expensive now. You know.
Yep.
I mean, you're not having. I don't think, Bree, you're not having to deal with the tariffs and everything there, are you? Really? No. I mean, if you wanted to get something from the United States, I don't know what Malaysia is now charging as a tariff, but if the United States is charging them heavy, they charge heavy as well. But you're in Malaysia, and everybody's copacetic with everybody else. You know.
Yep.
It's good. You know. But it's getting terrible here. I mean, it's just getting unbelievably expensive. I mean, we go down up the street, as I say, a place we used to go to, and we come out of there for, $17 for a hamburger. Now it's getting up there. It's getting up there.
And that's at McDonald's.
And that's at McDonald's. Yeah. McDonald's is now what, $7 or something for a what do they call it?
My roommate eats in one. He goes there and gets the largest Coke, the largest fry, and a quarter pound with cheese, and it's $13.
Yeah.
Jeez almighty.
If you get a cheeseburger, fries, and iced lemon tea, it would cost you at McDonald's. It would cost you $2.40.
I need to move to Malaysia. Wow.
$2.40. You get a cheeseburger, fries, and a drink.
Well, the only trouble moving to Malaysia is you have to live near Bree, so that's a problem. And and then you'll only be allowed to call this program if you're eating lunch.
No problem. I can eat 3 times a day.
Yeah. But anyway, it looks like it's getting time to play the theme song a little bit here. We'll just start that. It's been a kind of nice night tonight, just easy and simple. Who's that sitting next to you, Bree? Anybody you know?
Just a friend.
A friend. Oh, okay. All right. Does she understand what you're doing?
Sort of.
And you're going to pay for lunch in Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, hey, listen, thank you so much, all of you, for joining me. I didn't know I was falling apart. Thank you. Wait a minute. I pushed the wrong button there. Wait a minute. That's the wrong button. That's the wrong button. Okay. I don't want to have anything else play. Anyway, I want to thank you all for joining me on this Friday night. Thanks to Jeff for being here. Hi, Jeff.
Hardly said a word.
Hardly said a word, but it's always nice to see your shining face there. It makes us happy. Kevin, thank you so much. Thanks to Charlie. Thanks to Josh for joining in here. Thanks to Alan for being here. And Richard Braun, you finally got to explain Bitcoin, and even you don't understand it. So, and whatever. And thank you, Bree. Why don't you just everybody give a big wave goodbye, and I'll give a big wave goodbye. And see you later. Yeah, there they go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our citizen panel for tonight. That's our citizen panel for the week. Amy Manuel is next. She'll be here with the intersection. And if you want to call her, you can do it on Zoom by going to column 3 of gabnet.net. Down at the very bottom of the page says Alex Bennett, and it says Amy Manuel. You click on that, and it'll take you right to her. I'll see you again on Monday with the pop-up show, and then right back here next Wednesday. Same time, same station in life. In the meantime, as always, if you see her, tell her I love her, okay? Bye-bye.